Okay, today what I'm going to discuss here is I'm not going to discuss anything about the company nor about what we do and etc. because I take this opportunity as more of an session where I would like to help you guys understand what is supply chain management. So I will give you basics about supply chain management, why it is required, why it is in demand, what are the future technologies, and then why it is important for any organization. So to start with, I would like to show you a small video so that we can relate to what we are discussing about. So how many of you know about this industry 2.0, 3.0 and 4.0 revolution? Well, I'm presenting here, so I can't see how many of you can answer it. Nikhil, can you help me with that?
Well, I don't think so much people have any knowledge about supply chain. So you'll have to begin with the scratch.
Okay. So just watch this video carefully. Then you can relate to what is supply chain and how we are going to relate with the digitization and technology of supply chain. Audible to everyone? So basically, where are we? So we are not at 2.0, we are not at 3.0, we are at Industry Revolution 4.0. So which essentially means 2.0 is nothing but mass manufacturing, assembly line, and electricity, where the requirement of supply chain or logistics is not to that extent. So 3.0, computers, digitization, electronics, and IT. And now we are in 4.0, which is IoT, AI, AR, VR, big data, blockchain analytics. In India, fortunately or unfortunately, we have a very short span of Industry Revolution 3.0. For example, look at this. So how many years we have used 3G? We have hardly used 3G, and quickly we moved on to 4G because the world is moving fast. And that is why it is very, very important to have this supply chain management in control if you want to have this Industry 4.0 as a big success. So now let me take you through what exactly is supply chain. So SCM short form is supply chain management. So supply chain management is nothing but plan. That is, you need to plan what is that you want to, how you want to do, on what scale, at what level. Then you need to buy, that is, you procure raw materials for the production, either imports or procure it locally. Then you market, you need to market those products to make sure it is marketed at right places and sell at right places. Then move those products to the right places, that is to the customers, to the end customers, to the distributors, so whoever is the end customer of the particular company. And then service, after sales service. So this complete cycle from planning, buying, marketing, selling, moving, and then servicing the particular product forms a complete supply chain management. So this is what we call it as supply chain management. So in short, a set of approaches used to efficiently integrate suppliers, manufacturers, warehouses, distribution centers, so that the product is produced and distributed in the right quantities to the right locations and at the right time, right? So it's not only about having an efficiently integrated suppliers, manufacturers, warehouses, and distribution centers. It's also about making sure the product is reaching in the right quantities to the right locations and at the right time, such that the system-wide costs are minimized and service level requirements are satisfied. So in short, this is what we call it as supply chain management. So right from the suppliers to the end customer, and now the service part has been added. At some 10 years before, the service part was not there as a part of supply chain management, but now after sales service is also a part of supply chain management, and it's a huge opportunity for a product based companies. So this is what we call it as supply chain management. Is this clear? Can I move on to next slide?
Guys, you're free to reply in the chat box.
Yeah, you guys can reply in the chat box. Nikhil will help me. Because
Everyone says yes. So yeah, we can move ahead, sir.
okay, great. So that's about supply chain management. Now, if you look at this part, okay, the first part is more to do with the production, right? It's more to do with the production and storage. This second part, which is the crucial part, is known as logistics. So often people get confused between logistics and supply chain. People get confused, logistics is nothing but supply chain. No, logistics and supply chain are two different things, but they are integrated. So logistics is a subset of supply chain, not the other way around, right? So logistics is one part of the supply chain, especially when it comes to selling, moving, and servicing, or say at the time of buying. So different places logistics comes into picture. So let us understand the difference between both, so that we are clear that we are discussing about supply chain management. We are not discussing about logistics. So what is the difference between supply chain management and logistics? So while logistics is a larger part of supply chain management, it is still only a part of even a larger picture. So it is just a subset of complete supply chain management. It's not the entire supply chain management. So logistics asks, the customer wants product. How do we get it to them? In precise, logistics means a product has to move from place A to place B. How do we move it? What is the basis to move it, and at what cost, and what is the distribution mechanism, and how fast? That's all defines the logistics. When it comes to supply chain management, it asks how can we improve our supply chain processes so that it can provide, or say add more value to the customers and outperform our competition. So now look at this, right? Almost all the companies procure raw materials from the same place. Almost all the companies, production qualities are more or less same. So where do you add this differentiating factor? So most of the times it goes in supply chain. So it goes in logistics. This is where you add value to your product. So that is why supply chain management has become one of the crucial part for any company to be successful. So to understand in a different way, or say in a deeper way, logistics are vital to supply chain management. So if your company is not able to move your products from place A to place B, you cannot be successful in your business. So that is precisely the logistics. But when it comes to supply chain, it is much more than physically moving the products. It also involves, taking different aspects of manufacturing, storage, delivery, and fulfillment, so that it can maximize the overall productivity of the organization. So supply chain management, in short, will take care of inventory management, storage facilities, logistics, the buying mechanism, just-in-time deliveries, or say, having an optimum utilization of the raw materials. Everything comes into picture, and everything defines the supply chain management. So that's the difference between SCM and logistics. So I'm moving on to the next slide, expecting that you guys understood it. Unless until if you guys have any doubts, I will not stop on the next slide. So why SCM is difficult? So a lot of people think SCM is pretty easy, but being in this industry from so many years, I can tell you it's not easy. It's very difficult, right? And every day you come across new challenges, new things which you can never think of, because SCM per se is, while we have a lot of technology to help and streamline or optimize supply chain, it is always a human dependent industry, supply chain management. So and humans can make mistakes, right? So that is why it is very, very difficult. So let us understand different components why it is difficult. So uncertainty. So there is no uncertainty. See, there is no certainty in supply chain, right? So you really don't know. You don't have control in a lot of aspects. So, for example, if you are getting a raw material where you have planned your effective supply chain, where the inward movement of the raw materials is just in time. But say suppose your container got stuck in customs, right? So there was some issue. So customs was not releasing the container. So imagine you don't have a control on that, right? But the effect of that particular container held at a port can be huge. It can hamper your complete production. It can hamper your lot of manpower, the lot of wastages that can happen. So I just gave an example. These kind of uncertainties are very high in supply chain management. Complexity. So there's a huge complexity involved. Okay. For example, let's look at the logistics part of supply chain management. So if you look at logistics as a subject, looks like just moving a particular product from place A to place B. But look at this, there are so many components in logistics. So you have first international, then you have domestic, right? So in international, again, you have air and sea. Then again in air, you have express movements, you have forwarding movements, right? Then again in that express movements, you have sample movements, you have formal shipments. Then when it comes to domestic, you have express, you have air, you have surface, you have express surface. Then thanks to e-com companies, we have started something called last mile deliveries. So even in last mile deliveries also, again, you have two components, that is small packages and then large appliances. So all of you would have, would be buying a lot of things from Amazon and Flipkart. So if you would have seen the companies which deliver smaller packages like mobile phones or anything would be different. And the companies who would be delivering refrigerators and everything would be different, because the SLAs, SOPs are completely different for both the products. And hence there is so much of complexity which is involved in SCM that makes it difficult. Then optimization. So supply chain management per se, the complete cycle is so huge that you have a huge areas of optimizing the cost at every aspect, right? For example, if you have planned your production really well, you can use a surface mode instead of using an air mode where you can optimize the cost. But say suppose if your production is not that great, if your production is not optimized, then obviously you will you'll spend more in transporting that products in air rather than in surface. So which will add cost. So this optimization is very, very difficult at every stage. It's not about optimizing at one stage. The optimization has to happen right from start to stop. So that is why it is very, very difficult. Then controlling. You really cannot control things at supply chain management. You can actually have an understanding that okay, things can happen in this way, but you really don't have a control on any of these components of supply chain management. So for example, let's say I have given a particular product to move from place A to place B. I don't have a control that the delivery executive may or may not make a mistake. He can crisscross the shipments and he can deliver my product to some other person, some other person's product to my consignor. So do I have a control? No. Does the logistics company has a control on it? No. So even though you have a lot of measures and processes in place, the control mechanisms in SCM is very, very difficult. Then efficiency. So the efficiency of supply chain management is a combination of all these uncertainty factors, complexity, optimization, controlling factors put together will give you an efficiency. And this efficiency parameter in SCM changes from industry to industry, company to company, product to product. And hence it cannot be defined as this would be the efficiency percentage types. Just like ISO, what we have saying that standard formula, you don't have that efficiency formula for supply chain management. So what I pursue as efficiency for my company is different for another company. So let me give you an example. The efficiency factor for a company like Audi, right, which is into car. What is the efficiency factor? How they control the efficiency factor? They don't want any of their customers to suffer. So in case if there is any damage or something, their maximum timelines to import the goods or say repair the cars and everything is maximum 48 hours, not beyond that. That is how they measure their efficiency. But if you look at a company like Apple, how do they measure efficiency? So their efficiency factor is very clear that they don't want to trouble their customer. So even if you have a slightest damage to your phone, their model is very simple. There is nothing called repair and return. You can always get a new phone in place of a repaired phone. So that is their efficiency factor in their model. So every company has their own ways of measuring this efficiency. That is why SCM is very, very difficult, looking at all those 5 components. Now let us understand, why do we need SCM in first place, right? So what is that we are going to get when we do this SCM, right? It gives a great competitive advantage, right? If your SCM is perfect, it gives you a huge competitive advantage in the market when you're competing with the competition. It adds a lot of value to the consumers. Okay, so let me ask you guys one question. Okay, so I want people to respond to this. How many of you use Amazon Prime or say Flipkart Plus? Right, so a lot of people use, right? So why do you guys use Amazon Prime or Flipkart Plus? You can get the shipment delivered in 7 days, but whereas in Amazon Prime it shows 48 hours or 24 hours, right? Is that one of the reasons, faster delivery? Exactly, right? So don't you think it is, say for example, if you check for a product in Amazon, if you check for a product in Flipkart, wherever it is faster delivery, you opt for it, right? So precisely that gives you that competitive advantage if your supply chain management is efficient. That is why it is very, very important for any company to scale up, right? And then reduces the lead time gap. So what do you mean by lead time gap, right? So every product or in service industry is always having some kind of failures, right? But the way you recover these failures and reduce that time gap between your failure and then restarting that work, that is the measure of efficiency of supply chain management. And faster and just-in-time deliveries. So nowadays, no company wants to hold a lot of stocks, right? So it's a unnecessary cost. So there are a lot of concepts which has come into India, like FTWZ or say just-in-time deliveries, MRP deliveries, MRP clearances, etc. Just on this concept called faster and just-in-time deliveries, because nobody likes to block their money and keep the stocks with them, right? So you know that, okay, fine, I can get this shipment in 2 days. So why do I have to hold it for 1 month or 2 months kind of a stock? So how do you do this faster and just-in-time deliveries? Unless until you don't have a complete or say efficient supply chain management. And optimized inventory. So inventory is one of the huge costs for any company, right? It's not only about companies. Not all the companies are directly into the end customer. So they have a different model, like super stockists or a distributors or say the dealers, etc. Right? So nobody likes to hold inventory to such an extent, because it is not only about you're blocking your money or say the cost. It's also about managing it. For example, let's say you are a dealer of an FMCG product, and if you maintain huge inventory, look at the issues that can arise out of it, right? So you will have an expiries, you will have first in first out mechanism. So what happens if product gets damaged? What happens if there are any thefts or something? So there are a lot of factors which affects it, and hence the supply chain management helps you to optimize this inventory level and maintain only the inventory which is required for your requirement or say the immediate consumption. So that can happen only your full cycle is efficient. And ultimately, all these 5 things will lead to increased shareholder value, right? All of you agree with me, right? The way Flipkart has grown, the way Amazon has grown, how does it has grown, right? Flipkart, for your information, I was in DHL. And I remember Flipkart was right on top of our office. They started off by selling books in Flipkart. So when they first time when they wanted to import electronics from China, they approached us, and I went to meet them. And DHL as a company did not give them a credit facility, saying that it's a startup. We don't know how long you're going to survive here, so we will not give you credit facility. You have to pay in advance so that we can import the goods for you. Now imagine how it has grown now, right? How big Flipkart is now. Probably DHL is going after them to give them to ask for business, right? So that's how you have to efficiently manage your supply chain, right? Look at the way Flipkart has grown from a book selling company. It has grown to a marketplace where they manage huge DCs. They manage so many deliveries. They manage small appliances, large appliances, so many verticals, inventory management. They have their own products, branded products. Same with Amazon, right? So that's how efficient your supply chain has to be to make sure that your share value increases. So when it comes to SCM models, okay, there are different models which are there. Okay, I'll take you through models which are very pertinent in this industry. So one is agile model. Agile model is nothing but that deals with specialty order items. For example, if it is make to order kind of a stuff, that is agile model. So they don't produce it unless until you have that kind of a requirement. So then continuous flow model, so which is nothing but it offers a stability with a little fluctuation in the product requirement. So these are particularly like car manufacturers. So if you look at car manufacturers, in each version of the car you have different variants, right? For example, if you take a Maruti car, they have a LXI, VXI, VDI, different kind of a slight fluctuations in the models, but the overall look and feel is same, right? So that is about continuous flow model. Then custom configured model, which is nothing but which is customized at the production level itself. So it is basically customized only for that particular kind of a company. For example, you do it at you look at iPhone, right? For example, you look at any mobile phone, which is nothing but custom configured model. Then efficient chain model, which is nothing but end-to-end efficiency is a must. That means it is not only about producing the product, it is also about producing and then giving a service, and then after sales if there are any issues, again, sorry, I'm not moving the slides, right? So efficient chain model. So and then you're giving the service and then recovering the service. For example, let's take medical devices, right? So medical devices, how it operates is basically these medical devices are very costly. So you can't afford. So what they do is all these companies, they will get into a tie up with these hospitals where the hospitals will pay 50% of the cost of the machine, and then company installs that machines, and then for every test they will share the revenue 50% between the company and between the hospital. That's how they run. But the biggest challenge for these medical devices is service recovery, right? So this service recovery has to be done by a particular engineers who are trained in it, and it has to be done at a time when there are no patients, and it has to be done in such a way that you should not lose the patients for the test, right? Because emergency, it is directly related to the life and death. For example, there is an accident case which comes to the hospital, and say suppose if your machinery is not working, then how will you operate it, right? So you need to make sure that the supply chain has to be very proactive, that it triggers whenever there is certain kind of a problem. Before certain days you need to go and repair it, and the particular product, right? So particular spare in that device, you cannot identify which spare has to be repaired. So the engineer goes there, and he says probably out of these four spares one spare is not working. Then the company sends four spares, and the engineer goes there and then checks, and then puts up one spare, and the balance three or two spares again has to come back to the the warehouse of the company, and that has to be used at other place. So can you just relate how difficult this is to design this complete supply chain, right? So people think it's pretty easy, but this is how difficult it is. Practically, I have seen it in this company called Wipro GE Healthcare. So I have built a model for them for this entire service engineers, right? So that is why it is very, very essential to have an efficient chain model. And then fast chain model, this is for the products which are trendy and which are very short life cycle. So again, I would like to give an example of mobile phones. It's a very short life cycle, right? Today, last year it was 11, and this year it is iPhone 12, right? So it's a very short life cycle, and obviously companies will not produce so much of stock. They produce only up to a level based on their market intelligence and understanding. And then the moment they are about to launch iPhone 12, they would have stopped the production of iPhone 11. That is nothing but fast chain model. And then flexible model is nothing but where you have what exactly, how do you put it across? Okay, to meet the high demand of this product and long periods of low volume movement. So you have certain products which are seasonal in nature, right? Let's say air conditioners, right? In India, air conditioners, how do no one buys air conditioners in winter season, right? But before the summer starts, or say during the summer, the sale of air conditioners should be extremely high. So obviously, the companies which are producing this has to have a supply chain model which should be flexible. That means in winter, probably they will not work 3 shifts; they will work only 1 shift. They produce only a certain number of products just to be in the market. And then by the time when they see that summer is approaching, they will fast track this production. They will add one more shift, they will add one more shift, and then they will make sure the demand is met in the summer times. So this is nothing but flexible model. And then last one, which is more efficient and going to be the future one, is supply chain operations reference model, which is also known as SCOR model in general terms, which is nothing but actually you're setting standards in your entire SCM process, as well as you are assessing what kind of a wastage you are doing currently, so that you can minimize these wastages, right? So it is also about business process re-engineering. There are a lot of things which comes into this particular model, and hence this last model, that is SCOR model, is the one which a lot of companies are trying to adopt and trying to make sure that their SCM is perfectly working fine for them. I hope this is clear, or you want any further explanation on this slide?
Let us know in the chat box, guys.
So we have any questions?
People say it's pretty clear right now. So yeah, we can move ahead, sir.
Perfect. So we have finished this. Then let us understand why supply chain management is in demand, right? When I started my career in logistics and supply chain, not many of, including my own professors and lecturers, don't know what exactly these companies are going to do. Because for them, as a layman, it is nothing but moving a product from one place to another place. Beyond that, they don't have an understanding that what kind of a technology gets into it, why do you need so many people, and etc., right? So unless you don't understand that industry, unless you don't have that you realize the impact of it, you really cannot understand supply chain management. And in India, it took a lot of time for people to understand the importance of supply chain management. Traditionally, what happens, people who have worked in admin or say in accounts for 10 years, 15 years, they would be given a position to handle logistics, where they don't know anything about logistics or say the supply chain, other than just reducing the cost. That is why in India, it took a lot of time for the people to understand the importance of supply chain management. But thanks to a lot of people, a lot of colleges, and in universities which have started these courses, and thanks to Indian government, now logistics and supply chain is considered as a separate industry now, and hence there is a lot of focus on this. For any country to grow, the supply chain management and the logistics has to be efficient. Otherwise, the country cannot grow. So why it is in demand? Okay, the success of a business is directly linked to the efficiency of the supply chain. If your supply chain is weak, if your supply chain is fragmented, if your supply chain is not efficient, of course you cannot be successful in your business. You take any product, you go and read any success or a failure story of any startup or any company, you will understand that it will be directly linked to the supply chain, right? Then a business with a well-managed supply chain may significantly reduce all the operating expenses, which contributes to the greater profit, right? So if you are efficient, if you are efficient in every segment of the supply chain, if you are optimizing your cost in every segment of the supply chain, overall, the kind of control you have on complete operating expenses will give you a huge profit. So it will have a direct impact on the bottom line of your P&L. It's not even on the top line. So while top line is an indirect effect, the direct effect would be on the bottom line. Then SCM lowers the cost of doing business, right? So look at this model of Amazon, right? So before Amazon or a Flipkart came into India, did we ever thought that sitting at home, I can order something, which is manufactured somewhere in Delhi or somewhere in Bangalore and then getting to me in 24 hours, 48 hours, right? Otherwise, you always used to go to the shops, check, roam around, 10 different shops, select a good, t-shirt and then come back home, right? So imagine the ease of doing business and the cost of doing business, how it has lowered, right? You're not spending your time, you're not spending your any other cost like going all the way to the malls or anywhere selecting that item, right? So how did that happen? That happened just because Amazon and Flipkart has an efficient supply chain management. They have a right optimized inventory. They have a right logistics partners with them to deliver the goods, and they have full control on the cost to make sure the product reaches on time and as required by the customer. And SCM also supports the strategic plan of the organization, because whatever you plan, if your SCM is not in place, you just cannot strategize your business. SCM helps business, balance the supply and demand side, right? So there are always two sides. The biggest challenge for any startups is either you work on a demand-based model or you work on a supply-based model. So which is nothing but push and pull strategies in sales terms. So push strategy is nothing but you push your product into the market, do different kind of an activities, and then you generate sale for them. I'll give a classic example is contact lens. So any of you guys use contact lens here? I can't see. I presume at least one or two guys should be using it. So if you look at contact lens industry, it's a very niche segment, right? And how it operates? It operates on a push strategy. So what these companies do is they go and dump the stocks at the dealers, distributors, or they say the retail outlets, and then they do different kind of activities by doing a contact lens, programs, or giving extra benefits to the dealers or retailers. If they convert a person who is wearing glasses into a contact lens, so they do all these kind of activities and generate sales, right? So their strategy is very simple. They are doing basically they are pushing the sales. So whereas the other one is pull strategy, where you generate sale and then you produce and then you send it to the customer. Like say for example, you take Apple for an example. When they launch, okay, if you how many of you uses Apple, right? So if you see that they will say that okay, we are going to launch iPhone 12 on so and so date, so they will make sure that they publicize in such a way that they will understand where it's gonna come, right? The same, how much order I need, how much production I need to do. So all these back-end calculations they do, and hence that they generate the demand and then push the stocks into the market. So that is why like I use iPhone, right? So I stood in a line to buy my phone. That is nothing but demand. So they created a demand. I ordered in advance and then I went to collect it. So you understand the difference? Two stark differences between the strategies. So that's how your SCM helps in deciding which strategy you should take based on the product, and accordingly your entire supply chain has to change. Then SCM also allows you to be more efficient and effective customer service. Like I said, after sales has become a very vital and critical component in supply chain management nowadays. So nobody like to own a product if the after sales service is bad. I'm sure all of you will agree with me that you guys don't like to buy any product if after sales service is really bad. And that's where a lot of companies are doing good if they have a after sale, if they have a very good after sale service, right? So that's why it is very, very important. Now let's see what are the effects of SEM, right? So organizational performance, it's a straight away hit on the market performance. If you have a good SEM, your market performance will be really good, and if your financial performance will be extremely good. And then competitive advantage, it gives you a lot of competitive advantage. It helps you lower your cost. It helps you to arrive at a proper pricing strategy, because sometimes what happens, you cannot compete with others in the price because your SCM, or say the production cost, or the total SCM logistics cost is so high, right? That's why it is very important to have that SCM aligned. Then the quality of the product is directly linked with SCM, and the delivery dependability, right? So delivery dependability is also a critical component in supply chain management, which is directly linked with logistics again. And then the product innovation. So how do you do a product innovation if your supply chain management is not good enough to actually put the product into the market, and then do a better sales after sales service, and then understand the requirement, and then innovate the product, right? So that is where the success, or say the future of the company, depends on. And then time to market, whether the product is reaching on time to the market or not. So these are all things gives you the competitive advantage if you have an efficient supply chain. So when it comes to technology and SCM, okay, this is a very interesting thing. Digital is the reason that more than 50% of Fortune 500 companies have disappeared since the year 2000. Okay, this is from the CEO Accenture, Pierre Nanthnet. So, which essentially means the Fortune 500 companies listed in the year 2000, more than 50% of those companies have vanished. They've disappeared. And only for one reason, they could not adopt to the digital, or say the technology. It's not only about production technology, it's about technology at every front, right? So that's how important technology and SCM is for any organization. So the future technology of SCM, I'll just take you through. There are probably 10 trends which is gonna be in high demand in future for supply chain management. The first one being technology complements teams, right? How many of you have seen any warehouses? If you have not seen, probably you should actually go and see few customers' warehouses, how they operate, right? So one of the technology which is going to come is autonomous mobile robots, that is AMR technology, which is not directly but indirectly replacing the manpower, right? Say for example, if you have 10 people, imagine, let me give an example. Okay, automobile spares warehouse. Okay, the number of SKUs is nothing but a specific unit which is different from each other. So a net can be one SKU, the bolt can be another SKU. In net, different sizes. Okay, the bolt different sizes, each one can be a different SKU. In automobile spares, approximately 5,000 to 6,000 types of SKUs would be there in one warehouse, right? Imagine you have an order from a dealer or a distributor saying that 1,000 different types of SKUs. A person going and picking up, you always have that chance of error that can happen, right? Because we're all humans. So that is why this technology called autonomous mobile robots, which is going to come in future, where it will minimize all these errors at the warehouse level. That's going to be the first technology which would be coming, and it has already started coming into India. A lot of companies which are using drone technologies, which are using AMR technologies, where you just have to feed in the data. You have to, automatically it takes the invoice details, it takes the order quantity, it goes to the particular bin where it is placed, automatically picks up the products, comes and packs it, right? So you don't have to actually stress on whether there would be any error or not, right? The second technology is IoT, right? IoT makes warehouses smarter, right? So what is IoT? So people might think that IoT and AMR technologies are one and same. No, they overlap, but they're not same. IoT is made to make the processes efficient, right? For example, let's say you have to do a physical stock audit in a warehouse, or say at the production level. For that, you need to close down your production, you need to close down your warehouse activities for 24 hours to actually manually count, each and every product and see whether the stock is matching or not. So imagine a technology IoT which will do it every day in 5 minutes of your time. That's what IoT brings on table. And in fact, the current company where I'm working, H&S, we are the only ones in India to pilot this. And I'll show you the video what we did when it comes to IoT in warehouses. Then pre-fulfillment becomes speed becomes very, very vital. So what exactly it means? It's nothing but you need to have a proper understanding about what kind of inventories you need for the production, what kind of an output and input you need at a warehouse level, at a distributor level. All that predictive analysis, everything comes into the future, and that's going to be the big technology in future. Imagine the predictive analysis where sitting in office you can say that, okay, one particular dealer somewhere in Guwahati, he's having only this much of stock, so I need to send these stocks in advance so that he should not have a deficit of the stocks. So he will not place any order. Automatically the order is pushed back because of the predictive analysis and data analytics, AI integration, and everything. That's the kind of a technology which we're looking at. Customization along the supply chain, right? So what exactly it means? So all of you guys order through Zomato, right? So if you order something on Zomato or say the Swiggy, what is a good thing about it, right? So you will get updates, right? So the Zomato champ has reached the restaurant. Now because of COVID, you can also see that the temperature is so and so recorded, and then once he picks up the order, you can actually track him on the map, right? So you can actually track him on the map, and then it is integrated. If any of your apartment complexes are using MyGate or say Apartment Adda kind of a technology, you can pre-approve their entry and exits so that the food can come to you faster without troubling you for approvals and etc. That is a seamless customization of the supply chain from start to end. So that is going to be the technology going forward in future. The next is inventory flow optimization. Like I said, the predictive analysis again here, this is more particular pertaining to inventory. Let's say, for example, today you are having an inventory where you don't know why you are maintaining that inventory because there is no particular pattern to the order mechanism of your end customer. So what does the technology has to do? The technology has to understand what are the seasonal effects, whether it is geographical effects, seasonal effects, or say, demographic effects, or say the product-based effects. So considering all those things, you have to arrive at what is the minimum stock that needs to be maintained, because you literally don't need, lakhs of square feet of warehouses to be maintained for each and every product. So that is where the inventory flow optimization technologies is going to come. Then further optimization of working capital. So which essentially means based on your efficient supply chain, you can also optimize your working capital. You don't need big warehouses. So thanks to GST, where a lot of people have consolidated their warehouses. But look at this. Government has done GST where a lot of companies consolidated their warehouses and they started maintaining one warehouse. But then suddenly they realized having one warehouse for Pan India, because of lack of infrastructure in India, you cannot actually deliver the product on a timely manner. So what they did, they again moving back to a model called Hub in Hub, where they want to have a smaller 1,000 square feet, 500 square feet kind of a small warehouses or hubs in each and every place so that they can reach to the customer faster within 24 hours. That's precisely how you need to optimize the working capital as well. Then enhance relationship with suppliers, because look at this model called FTWZ, which has come into India a few years back. FTWZ is nothing but a foreign land in India where you can import how many items you want. So, but that would be stored in that location, And out of 1,000 which you ordered, if you want to use only one for today, you can actually get it customs cleared for one product. You pay import duty only for that one product, get it to your factory, use it. You need two more after 2 days, you go back again, you take only two, right? So that is nothing but, the efficiency of the suppliers have increased. So suppliers have just imported in bulk, because otherwise, imagine if you have to import one product in air, it will be extremely costly. But if you import a big container, the transportation cost is so cheap that you can actually import it and place it in FTWZ and then use it whenever you want it. So blockchain provides universal visibility. So blockchain is the technology for the supply chain going forward, for a lot of reasons. Blockchain, the kind of data security it gives, the kind of analytics you can do, uh, it's amazing, right? So that's something, which is universal for entire visibility of the supply chain. It's not particularly related to particular segments like inventory, or say, the warehouse level, or say the stock level, or say the supplier level. Blockchain can be used all across. Then capacity crunch continues, or does it? So what does it mean? So the increase in demand actually stretches the company's ability to store and physically deliver orders. So let's take an example of Big Billion Days, or say the Amazon Great India Festival, right? If you see, I work closely with Flipkart. Okay, so Big Billion Days time, they were preparing for this Big Billion Days festival 2 months in advance, right? They went into so much analytics that, they had the complete data that how many orders they expect from each postcode level. So based on that, how many people you need for the delivery, based on that, how much space you need, how many vehicles you need, how many products you need, right? And which are the products that's gonna sell in one particular region. All those things they have done it 3 months in advance. Okay, and they worked so efficiently. uh, the orders are so huge. Okay, this year it's actually not such great shopping festivals for Amazon and Flipkart. They have just only fulfilled 45% of their projections, but still the loads are so heavy. In spite of that, you will not feel any service disruption when it comes to Flipkart and Amazon kind of companies. That's the level of optimization, or say the efficiency they have in their supply chain. Integration into overall operations, right? So generally people think operations is nothing but either production, or say, logistics is operations. No. So the technology which has to give inputs to operations is very, very essential in future. Like, say for example, if operations is producing 10 products in a day, but your sale is 11 products in a day, how will you go back to operations and say that, boss, I need 11 products? So you better improve your operations, optimize your operations, so that I can improve my sales, right? So all these different kinds of technologies which are going to be the future technologies of supply chain management. uh, what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to play a video. Like I said, this is the IoT based technology which we used in our existing company. You can actually see the video. It's a 5-minute video. Just go through it and understand how it works. Oh, sorry. I think I'm so sorry. I've attached the wrong video. Give me a moment. I'll share the screen. Apologies, guys. I've attached a wrong video.
It's totally fine, sir. Meanwhile, guys, if you have any questions, you can start typing, like start asking questions in the chat box.
Yeah. There's a video, just go through this.
This is the warehouse of one of our clients where we have trialed our blockchain-based track and trace solution. Our solution helps the client to track all products that come into the warehouse and move out, including any movements within the warehouse. Today, we'll see the process as it is actually implemented and run. As you may recall, the HNS blockchain solution has three components: the cloud, which is the IoT layer, the mobile interface or the blockchain layer, and the enterprise UI layer. Today, we will see how the beta working version of each of these three layers is implemented in this warehouse. This is a pretty large warehouse, spanning more than 1.5 lakh square feet of storage space. Once a product reaches the warehouse, every box is tagged with a cloud. This person is seen here affixing the tag with the product. This is a process that will be eliminated in the final version of the model, as the affixation happens at the manufacturing line itself and not at the warehouse. Once the tag is affixed, the product is moved into the warehouse for storage as required. At the entrance of the warehouse here, a phone is mounted on the unloading gate. As products move through this gate, the system automatically recognizes this and stock is added into the book stock. The stock is then moved to the storage area where it is stacked as shown here. As you can see, the boxes have the cloud affixed on them. This is the enterprise UI, which is the screen the warehouse uses. At any point of time, on real-time basis, the warehouse manager can run a report to understand product movement on periodic basis. A warehouse employee walks inside the warehouse carrying the phone with the HNS app installed in it. Automatically, all the clearouts within a 30-meter radius pair with his phone, and the data is transmitted using his phone's internet connectivity. In this way, the stock audit process is completely automated and no physical count of products is ever required. In other words, by just walking through the warehouse for 5 minutes, the complete stock is audited, which would otherwise have taken more than 24 hours to accomplish. The system will also alert if a product is stored at an incorrect location. For outward movement, a product is picked from its storage location and moved to an outward bay of the warehouse. At this gate also, you will notice a phone that is installed. This phone records all material that moves out of the warehouse and corresponding entries made in the stock registers. Again, this process is completely automated and free from manual intervention. So, if any wrong product is picked for dispatch, the system automatically recognizes it and alerts the warehouse manager of such an error, thereby eliminating any chances of mismatch. Thus, the complete tracking of material movement in the warehouse is automated, without any requirement of specialized infrastructure like barcode scanner or RFID readers. So that's the blockchain track and trace solution for you from HNS. The MVP is restricted to product tracking within a warehouse, but the eventual product will track products across millions of retail shops where real-time sales and stock data is made available to brands so they can take good business decisions. Do let us know your thoughts, views, and comments here. Our website is HS.
Any questions? Open for questions before we conclude the session.
Okay, so here we have one question, sir. Sir,
Yeah.
how can a startup implement blockchain in its supply chain? Since
Okay,
a lot of
that's a good
companies
question.
seems to associate themselves with the latest technology.
Yeah. What is a product? Okay, for example, what you have seen in this video, this technology can be adopted right from the production level. So let me give an example. Say I'm manufacturing a small electronic device, right? So I can have this IoT enabled chip or a stick or something, which is I place it right at the time of production, right? Then you can track that product at what time the production has been completed for that product, what is the expiry, what is the model number and everything associated with that, when it reaches warehouse, and from warehouse which dealer or which person has ordered for it, where it has gone, in which geographical location it is there, and then if there are any service issues that can be tracked back to that particular order. Everything can be tracked with the technology, right? So you can actually implement this blockchain enabled based on the product feature, also the product per se, what is that you're looking to start with. Let me give an example. This Epson printers. Okay, so Epson printers, they have a different kind of printers. They also have this industrial printers. Okay, so these industrial printers, what they're coming out with the technology is, they're coming out with this IoT enabled technology where they're going to add an extra chip in the printers, right? So currently what happening, you have to store the cartridges, you have to order it whenever there is. What Epson is trying to do here is, Epson will monitor the ink level in the cartridges, and when it goes beyond certain point, automatically it triggers an invoice at their warehouse, and automatically that product would be shipped to the customer, so that customer has a just in time cartridges available with them. You don't have to store it. So say suppose if his daily consumption is 100 pages and he can see that his cartridge can give another 200 pages, so just before 2 days the new cartridge will come to his place automatically. So imagine the flexibility you are giving to the customer with this technology, right? So it depends on what kind of a product you're going to have in your startup. Then accordingly you can use this blockchain. See, blockchain is a good one, but it is not for everyone, or say for every product. The product has to have certain kind of requirements to use these blockchains.
Well, moving on to the next question. Yuvraj Sharma has a question. Sir, you mentioned companies might face big problems when the shipment is stuck. So maybe customs department, etc. How do they overcome those issues?
See, that is where the big logistics companies, or say the companies who are into that segment, comes into the picture, right? So you always have that set of rules frame that this product has to. So let me give you an example again from my own experience, right? So the shipments are from this customer called uh, Alcatel-Lucent. Alcatel-Lucent was into this telephones manufacturers that time. The company is not there now. Okay, so it is basically into the that time they used to have a landlines where you can see each other faces also, right? So you used to have a screen on the landlines also. So they were developing that product. So when that particular the screen has been imported, custom says I will clear it as an electronic, right? So the customer says it is a component of a telecom equipment. So duties are different, the components are different, right? So the duty structures are different. So the same thing happened with the keypads of the if you would have seen the feature phones, the previous feature phones, the keypads are of plastic. So ideally you have to clear it under mobile accessories, which is a lower duty, whereas customs can say I'll clear it as plastic because it is made of plastic. So both are right? So these kind of things where you don't have a control, and that is where these companies, any company which is into this logistics and clearing agents will come into picture. They will set the rules, they will take the paperwork in advances, they will there will be a lot of notification, there will be a lot of replies you need to give to the customs to make sure the shipments are cleared on time. So that's a different segment altogether. It's a huge segment where you have a lot of CHs who's working on that.
Okay, so moving on to the next question. Lokesh says, is managing IoT device difficult? Does it happen that it gets damaged in the process of loading the packages? And also, what do you spend on a unit of device? How do figures move?
See, the one which you have seen in the video was a beta version, right? So now we are moving on to a model which is basically a sticker kind of a model, right? So it's as simple as barcode scanner or a barcode sticker, just like what you have it on the phone on the backside. Similar to that kind of a technology is going to come in future, where the cost of the device is very minimal. But to operate as a whole for IoT, you need other devices. Either you need to install the app in your mobile and keep that app always open, or you need to install the physical devices at the entry and exit of your places. Like say, for example, if I have designed a product, okay, and I have given this IoT solution for each product, it is tracked. But how do you track it unless until I don't have the device to capture entry exit of the product, right? For that, you need to invest in the physical product. Like say, for example, I have a product which I'm directly selling it in the supermarkets. I don't have a dealers. So how do I know that what is the stock levels at the supermarket? So what I will do, I will go and I will place a small device, physical device at the entry and exit. So when my products gets into it, I automatically gets an information that okay, 1,000 quantity has entered the supermarket. So every day I can see okay, 2 moved, 4 moved, 10 moved, 20 moved. Then based on that, I can plan my production. I can have my products delivered to the supermarket on time. So the cost is basically not on the IoT device, but more about managing the IoT as a process is more costlier than a device per se.
Well, that's pretty amazing, sir. So yeah, moving to the next question. The current COVID-19 pandemic has shown that our current supply lines are susceptible and get compromised during a pandemic. In your view, how can we make our supply lines pandemic proof?
Uh, See, pandemic is something nobody expected that it's going to happen. Okay, but it has exposed a lot of faults in our entire understanding about the supply chain, I would say the industry per se, right? So now, if you look at the future, after pandemic, we are almost out of pandemic, right? So you see, there will be a lot of focus given on to tier 2, tier 3 kind of a locations, right? So if you look at currently the most of the logistics or supply chain or the customer or say the revenue patterns, everything is concentrated at a metro levels. So people are not even bothered to look at tier 2, tier 3 kind of a locations. The cost of going there is probably very high, and hence the product cost goes up. But now because of pandemic, suddenly you realize that all the people who was working in metros are from these tier 2, tier 3 locations, right? So they have a buying pattern. So the biggest learning for supply chain management guys is to focus on tier 2, tier 3 locations. So in fact, if you see the all the startups in this space which has come in last 6 months, 1 years of time, everything is focused on tier 2, tier 3 logistics and supply chain management. That's going to be the area for the future. So we have already exhausted the spending capacity and everything in metros. It's going to be tier 2, tier 3 for the next 25 years. In fact, and online deliveries. What is the growth of online deliveries during the pandemic? Just take a wild guess. Can anyone take a wild guess?
15%. Yuvraj says 15%.
5,000%. 5,000%. Can you beat that? Online deliveries have grown by 5,000% during this pandemic of 8 months, right? And what is the good thing about these online deliveries?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, that we have other Prime memberships, so yeah, it brings some certain perks to the table.
No. You know what? You get into the habit of online deliveries. Tell me something. I'm sure all of you guys at your homes, you will be ordering grocery now through online. After pandemic also, 99% of the people will continue ordering through online only grocery because that is more convenient for you now. You built up a habit, right?
It's pretty accurate, yeah.
So you built up a habit. So that's gonna stay. And imagine online delivery started with books. It went on to apparels. It went on to electronics. It went on to groceries, food deliveries. Now you have online deliveries of urban club, right? Even a barber comes to your home. It is nothing but an
Yes.
online
Yeah.
delivery, right? So that's also
Yeah.
supply chain management. How do you make sure the people are assigned to particular postcodes and make sure they are available so that the person is assigned at that particular time and he goes on time, reports on time, make sure he follows the processes, comes back on time and goes for another order. And how do the company make sure that they will give enough orders to them so that he can be attached to that company? Look at the process. It's not that simple how we think, right?
Okay. Yeah. exactly.
So if
That was pretty
all
accurate.
of you guys want to be successful as a startup entrepreneurs, remember a golden formula. Only two ideas will work. Either you make people or you get the privacy of the people. If your startup idea is any of these two, you will be successful. All these online deliveries, all these Ola Ubers, all these Amazon Flipkart is nothing but making people lazy, right? You're saving time for them, right? All this Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, Telegram, whatever it is, nothing but invading others' privacy. So any idea on these two, you guys would be successful.
Well, thank you so much, sir, for the advice. So yeah, moving to the next question. The current, sir, what was the main reason behind a lot of Fortune 500 companies disappearing after 2000? Is it failing to upgrade the supply chain or technology? What else can we, conclude out of it?
It's a combination of supply chain and technology. They fail to upgrade to the technology, new things which has come. So let me give a classic case of Nokia and Samsung. Right? Nokia was a market leader. Okay, I was handling Nokia at one point of time as a global customer. So Nokia used to spend crores on their R&D division. So there used to be one particular mobile where it used to be they used to open as a probably I don't know how do you call it. They used to call it as laptop phone, something like that. They spent close to 1.5 crores. You know what on what? When you open that phone, the sound which they wanted, it has to be same like when you open or close the door of a BMW. They wanted to get that sound and they spent 1.5 cr on that. Okay, so they had that kind of an R&D. And when Google approached them with Android, Nokia did not adapt to that technology. They said that Symbian platform is a better one than Android, right? uh, and they went to Samsung, and rest you know the story, right? So that's a
Yeah.
classic case. You did not analyze that what is going to be the next technology. That's very. But if you look at iPhone, for example, iPhone always been a different kind of an approach, right? It always innovates and competes with its own model. Apple has their own iOS, their own Play Store. Everything is their own, right? Either they would have adopted the Apple strategy or they would have adopted the Android strategy. They have not adopted both. So you have two different models which are successful, and both are extremely different from each other,
Yeah. Fair enough.
right? So that's how it works. And a lot of companies have vanished because they could not adapt to that technology or say the future understanding about how it's going to be behaving in future. So what does the customer want in future? So, and that is why India has become all of a sudden has become 10 years back, very good market to expand. The reason being simple, the population is so high that you can start any business here and make it successful.
Yeah, that really answers the question. So, like, we need to take all those factors in consideration,
Absolutely.
and